Hello everyone, we'll start the session in next couple of minutes. Hello everyone, we are trying to fix some technical issues on our end. Please be patient, we'll definitely start in a minute or two. Hello, good evening everyone. Thank you for joining us for the today's session. Today's session is on how to write a scientific article by the founding director of Foundations for People-centric Health System, FPHS, Mr. Dr. Chandrakant Lahariya. Dr. Lahariya has received his MBBS MD from Indian institutions, and he is India's leading medical doctor, public health expert, health policy specialist, epidemiologist, and renowned COVID-19 expert on prevention, vaccination, and clinical case management. During the pandemic, Dr. Lahariya has consulted COVID-19 patients and has provided advice to over hundreds of people. He has also advocated for the vaccination for all via different platforms such as social media, newspapers, TV channels, etc. He has appeared on media platforms such as BBC, NDTV, CNN, News 18, and many others. Dr. Chandrakant has also delivered lecture to hundreds of students across the globe, including public institutions in India. And not to forget that he has extensively worked on child health and preventive medicine. Dr. Lahariya is one of the co-authors of the book Till We Win, India's Fight Against the COVID-19 Pandemic. And today he'll be talking about how to successfully articulate a text matter for publishing in a journal or any other mass reading platform. The session is in continuation of the previous expert talk we had last weekend by Dr. Rajiv Das Gupta from JNU, titled as Meet the Editor. If you haven't watched the video, do watch it after the session for having a better understanding of writing for the journals and different platforms. The session will help in building an understanding of the process and structure which can be used to produce a peer-reviewed publication which results in submitted and published manuscript. Thank you. We look forward to the conversation and we'll take all the questions which are there in the chat box and on our YouTube channel in the end. This meeting will be live on the YouTube FPHS channel, so don't forget to share it among your peers who might not be able to join us on the Zoom meeting today. Over to you, Dr. Lahariya.
Thank you very much, Anshika, and good evening, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to talk to you and see all of you in this screen, that you are interested and want to learn more about how to write a scientific paper. In next 45 minutes and so, I'll share some of my experience. So I'm not going to give you a textbook answers, but I'm going to share with you my experience, that what it means to write a good quality paper and get published. And as Anshika already shared, that this is a follow-up conversation of what Dr. Rajiv Das Gupta in the previous session discussed. So first of all, let me start with one of the common question I get, that I want to write an article. How should I do it? I think this is one of the weakest question. Like, if you want to write something, the first thing required is an idea, which you are clear, and then that idea which you want to communicate to rest of the people. So the starting point for anyone cannot be that I want to write without having idea what you want to write. So to write a paper, the first thing is that you need to have something to write, something to tell to the rest of the world. Now, paper cannot be written. You think that you want to write something, and then it is written. There is a long journey from the idea to publication. So, for example, if you want to write a paper, then on which topic you would write. It depends upon what you already know. So the writing process, often people ask, and I say, is follow an acronym RAW. It starts with the read, analyze, and then write. So the first step of writing is reading. And I would say that that is more important than writing. Writing comes in the last. So remember this RAW. Read, analyze, and write. And that's the process many of you who have done dissertation or thesis follow. That your dissertation or thesis comes after a certain period of time. It could be like in case of dissertation, 1 year or 2 years, but thesis usually 3 years. So what you do, just think of writing process of thesis. What you do in the initial part of thesis writing or dissertation writing, you draft a protocol. And a lot of time goes into thinking the protocol development. Then a lot of time then again go to either primary data collection and literature review. So that's the reading part or primary data collection part. Then comes the analysis of that work, and then you write. And if you recall, if some of you might be doing PG theses, but the other might have completed. The writing part usually of the 2.5 years of thesis writing, majority of time goes into primary data collection or literature review. Then analysis part takes some time, and writing is very shortest duration, 2 months or 3 months or 4 months or maybe 6 months in a thesis. But if I break this part, a writing part, if you want to write something, usually the reading, I repeat this, you remember this acronym, please. Reading, analyzing, writing. So if there are 12 months in a year, and if you have to complete something in 1 year, then I would say reading takes 5 months. Writing takes 4 months, analyzing takes 4 months, and writing 3 months. 5, 4, 3. That's another number. So whatever time you require for writing a paper, like if it's a 1 day, and within that 1 day, 12 hours, the 5 hours for reading, then 4 hours for analyzing, and 3 hours for writing. So what people often forget, that when they ask me that how you write so quickly, what they do not see, the background writing and background analysis which has been done behind this. So if someone want to move, that I want to write without doing that background work of reading and analyzing, it is not going to happen. And that is the problem people do not, or people fail to publish, because they simply jump to the writing without investing enough time on reading and analyzing. So that's the first message I want you to remember, that if in the future, ever you think of writing, think in the time-bound approach, that have I done, like I want to write on a certain topics. First of all, it will be little easier to write on something on which you have read a lot. It will be easier to write on something which you have analyzed a lot. But if you want to go for something which is you have not read and analyzed in the past, then you have to complete that process first before you can go on the writing. So raw. Make that principle of raw. Read. If you want to write something in the future, plan your time that you would do a reading for most of the time, for a lot of time, then you would do analyzing, and then you write. I want to ask each of you, just think and reflect for a few seconds, that why PhDs are minimum 3 years? Why can't a PhD be offered in 6 months? Why require minimum 3 years and can go up to 5 years or 7 years? And across the world, that is the approach. Like there are some other courses, like Masters of Public Health can be done in 2 years or 1 year. But nowhere in the world PhD is offered less than 3 years. Have you ever thought about that? Why that happens? Why that is a standard approach? Why don't you give a PhD, like 1 year PhD course? So just pause for 30 seconds and get your answer. You don't have to answer here, but there is a rationale for having certain process, certain duration of courses, like professional courses are done usually in 4 years or 5 years or even longer. There must be logic and reason. Otherwise, people would say, okay, I want to do in 1 year. So think of that answer from your perspective for 30 seconds, and I pause for 30 seconds when you are thinking about it. Keep your answer to yourself, but key that PhD or any course, anything require a certain period of time to develop that kind of skill. One of the answer to this is in, some of you might have heard about Malcolm Gladwell. He has written a book in which he had talked about 10,000 hours. He talks that to learn any skill, you need to invest around 10,000 hours in that activity. There is a book, I will not tell you the name. You can search the name. Malcolm Gladwell is the author, and 10,000 hours is a famous concept he gave. Now, it's a different story. Many people argue that that concept is not that valid, but the point is, to learn a skill, you need, yes, outlier, Ankit says that. I wanted others also to learn about this thing. So the key point is, the reminder is, to learn a skill, you need to invest a certain amount of time in learning that skill. And if you translate the PhD courses, which are usually 3 years, and a certain amount of time you spend on PhD courses, and your personal time, you would reach something like 6,000 to 10,000 hours during that period. And usually people have to spend 10,000 hours. And in a year, if there are 2,000, in a year around 250 days you work, every day around 8 hours of working, that makes 2,000 hours in a year. The assumption is that it can be done in 3 years if people invest more time. So in 3 years, 6,000 hours during the course period, and remaining 4,000 hours during their learning outside the course period. But if you don't spend time outside the course period, then you would take at least another 2 years, which is 2,000 hours per year. 5 years, 2,000 hours per year, 10,000 of hours you invest. Now, it is a different story. It could be not 10,000, 8,000, but summary point is that you need to invest certain amount of time to develop a skill. And second point I want to make is, writing is a skill. Unless you develop that skill, unless you start working or investing time, you cannot reach that level of writing which will make it publishable. With these 2 points, reading, analyzing, and writing, and certain amount of time is spent, it does not mean that you have to wait for 3 years before you write something. So what one can do, one need to build upon what you already know. So third step is that if you want to write, the easiest part would be that you write on something which you already know, about which you have read a lot, about which you have thought a lot. So your thesis topic, or identify an area in which you know a lot, and you can start writing on that part. And that would be easier. But the alternative to that is that if you have not read a lot, you can form a team, identify the people who have read a lot. So 10,000 hours an individual can spend, but if there are 5 people who spend 2,000 hours each, or someone 1,000 hours, essentially, so the amount of effort needed is fixed for achieving an outcome. Then that outcome can be achieved either by individual, by investing that many hours, or a group of individuals with less number of hours, but cumulative hours on that. So next time, if you want to write something, think of the topic which you know, or get help of the people who have that kind of experience and expertise. So these are the broader thoughts and reflection on writing. You can do all of this, but then it is not published. Often people say, we have written our article, it is not published. Now, publishing is a different approach. One, it depends upon, like, you can write the best of the article, but if you send to the wrong journal, the journal which does not publish that kind of article, then it will not be published. So you have to select a right journal, right place to publish. If you write for newspaper and send to a medical journal, it will not be published. So we need to selection of a journal is the key for this purpose. But also, I tell you a story from my personal experience. So I was in medical college doing my Doctor of Medicine MD degree in 2004 to 7. And around that time, and some of people might be from that medical college, it was not allowed that postgraduate student would write and publish. But I published during that time from that medical college. One of my first article on avian flu, I tell you the date, avian flu was first reported from India on 18th of February in Nandawar district of Maharashtra. And when the first cases were reported, I started writing piece that evening itself. And within 2 days, exactly 2 days, I wrote the first draft about a disease which was completely new for India and submitted to a journal. By 20th of February, I submitted to a journal, Indian Pediatrics. Within 7 days, because it was a new topic, within 7 days, journal completed the review process. Otherwise, it takes a long time if it's not a topical or new topic. And they reverted to me with comments, some suggestions for revision. That's a standard approach. The evening, I don't remember exact timing. The evening, I received the comments by email. And from that evening, I started working. And that entire night, I revised the piece. Very late night, I revised the piece and submitted to the journal. So by the time journal editor came back to the office for work, my submission was back to the journal. They reviewed it. Of course, external review process was followed and it was accepted. It was published in the most next subsequent issue of April 2006. So my first article was written very quickly and on a new topic. And I was very quick in revision of the pieces. What mistake people say, that they start late. Like, you have to, as a public health person, you need to understand what is topical issue. So if you write about a topic which is emerging now 3 months later, so essentially you cannot take that much time to write about something which is very topical. So you should be very quick. That's part one. Second part is that people do not respond to reviewers' comment, and it takes a lot of time in reviewers responding to reviewers' comment, that it delays the entire process. By the time the topicality is lost. This is exactly an approach which I have followed, being very quick in writing and then being very quick in the revision of those articles. And this experience I've shared from year 2006, but we did exactly the same in 2022. Last year, when monkeypox outbreak emerged in European setting, I, along with my other colleagues, thought that this is the topic on which we should write. Our team wrote actually the piece, monkeypox article, in effort equivalent to 48 hours. Within 2 days of equivalent of effort by 3 people, on 7th June, we had submitted the article to the same journal about which I shared the story. So 2 days of writing, the journal reviewed within a few days, and within 17 days of submission, the article was published on 24th of June. India had not reported monkeypox case till 23rd July. So we were well ahead of this thing. And our article was published well before that. And it was finally online, initially online first. And then in the print issue in August 2022. What are the learnings? Learning is that you in a public health have to be really quick. If you cannot do alone, do with other people, but do it quickly. Your content should be, like, you should be quick in your revision and keep reading about that topic. Now, what is the commonality in monkeypox and avian flu? For these diseases, you do not need 10,000 hours of experience. For these diseases, you need to understand the broader principle of writing. So both of these diseases were new. Avian flu in 2006 and monkeypox in the sense new to academic community in scientific publishing, though both diseases were known earlier. But all of us were starting from the same level of knowledge and understanding. The COVID, a completely new disease, whether you are 70-year-old or 22-year-old, you have the same level of knowledge about COVID. So starting point is the same. And if you invest time, the people who would invest time around that time, when a certain disease is new, they would be ahead of others. They would be able to publish. So that's a fourth message I have for you, that if you want to publish something, write on a topic which is new, which is not published earlier, and develop in-depth understanding. And that's how you can publish. So publishing about maternal mortality is possible, but it is so well documented. Writing a knowledge attitude practice study is so common, so challenging to publish because nobody wants to publish those kind of study. So my few messages are to start with, and I want to repeat those messages, that writing is the end product of something deeper knowledge which you have within you. And the deeper knowledge and understanding comes from reading, analyzing that content, and then writing comes there. I said all of those things, but you should not be discouraged. You can still write and publish. How to still write and publish? That after this conversation, this webinar, please spend some time thinking that which are the areas where you have some background knowledge and understanding. And first of all, start writing about those in those topics, those areas. But if you have read something, is not enough to publish. If you have read, then what do you want to convey to the people or rest of the world comes from analysis of that what you're reading. Unless you analyze, you would not have a message to tell. If something which is already written and you have read, then what new you have to convey to the rest of the people? So new will emerge when you analyze that part. And that's new is what people want to read. Now, usually in scientific medical journals, you write for 2,000 words to 3,000 words. Now, one should not forget, like if you write 2,000 words, which means a person who is reading it need to read 2,000 words, which would mean like half an hour, 45 minutes of that person's work. And unless you have something new, why that person should waste his or her time in reading that 2,000 words or 3,000 words? The person would be interested in reading your 2,000 or 3,000 words if you have something new to tell them. And editors would be interested in publishing that because editor is going to use a few pages of that journal which have a direct and indirect cost. So if you are saying something which is already written or which is already known, why editors should waste time and place and paper on printing that article? And then why readers should waste time reading something which is already known? So the success of writing an article is that you write something which is new. Now, people say that they cannot write, it requires a lot of words. I think if you have to use a lot of words in saying something, then there is some fundamental problem. So one should focus upon minimizing the fluff or reducing the fluff, like anything which is already known. Only write those things which are new. And I'll come about how to structure it. So writing new is approach. Usually journals say 2,000 to 3,000 words. So most of the journal publish article in 6 pages, which is around 3,000 words, a few tables. So in year 2012, I wrote an article which was 10,000 words. The journal allowed 3,000 words. And I have published extensively, so I know that 10,000 is too many of the words for article. So, but I was not able to find anything which can be deleted from that article. So I still submitted the article to Indian Journal of Medical Research, which is one of the highest high impact factor journal. And so article was reviewed by them. Most of the reviewer gave a good comments, but one comment was that please reduce the article to 3,000 words. So it's not necessary. My point here is not necessary that we should listen to every word said by a reviewer. So I responded to other comments of reviewers, but to the reviewer who said that reduce to 3,000 words, I responded in writing. I said that I had a few points to convey, and I have written only those points. So in this article manuscript, I have used as many words as needed, not more and not less. And I resubmitted to them with the same 10,000 word length article with the request that if you have any suggestion that what should be deleted, please let me know. Of course, the 10,000 word article was published in 21 pages of Indian Journal of Medical Research, one of the longest piece I have written in IJMR. So it's not about wording, but we should minimize wording. My review articles, I have published like a 2-page review article is also review article. So it's not the length of the article which makes it great or publishable. It's the content of that article. And that's what the another message. So read, analyze, write on the topic which you know. Now, people start writing from they say, oh, like many of the times when I interact with the student, they say, we want to write and publish. And their focus is solely on publishing. They say that we want to publish article because of certain requirement. I think publishing is a good intention, but goal cannot be publishing. For me, and I'm not sounding like hollow, like for me, the real reason for writing is learning. So the best thing which happens when you start writing, you develop a good understanding of the topic. You become an expert in that topic. And publishing is a byproduct, even if it's not published. But if you've done hard work on writing something, that means you know that topic. And for me, that is a more important thing rather than publishing. Of course, if it is published and published in a good journal, nothing better than that. So if you publish, then you are expert and published author. But even if an article is not published, you are still expert in that topic. So my suggestion to each one of you who is listening to this conversation, that focus upon developing learning. The publishing will come in due course. It may take some time, but it will happen. But irrespective of whether you are published or not, you will develop expert level knowledge of that topic. The other point is that, so which journal I should select, how to structure article, and since these are the many topics, so I would try to be precise. For example, most of the time, there are different type of articles, and you can go through journals website, review article, research article. There are structured things. But the broader principle is that in any article which will ensure that your article will be accepted, is that keep the introduction very short. Like people write introduction or background article in 3 pages. I think that's a complete waste of time. In introduction, you talk about what you already know, what people already know. So don't waste time in writing introduction. Introduction should not be more than 1 paragraph. At the max, like if you cannot fit in 1 paragraph, maximum 2 paragraph, but not more than 2 paragraph. Come to the point, why you want to do this study. So introduction should always be, no matter original article, review article, not more than 300 words, 1 maximum 2 paragraph. Introduction is that why you are doing this work. So why waste pages on that? There is nothing new which you know, like introduction is before you started doing that research, doing work. So introduction, short introduction. Write materials and methods as detailed as possible. There's no word count, but everything which, like the entire idea of materials and methods is that if someone who is independent of this work, he or she undertake the work, they should be able to replicate. So materials, methods, fairly decent space, difficult to quantify, but write as much detail as possible. Then comes the results. In the results also, people write a lot. This is published, not more than 1.5 page, like 3 to 4 paragraph. Something which is there on the tables and figures should not be repeated in the text. And essentially, see what information you can transfer to tables, boxes, figures, graphs. That should go in that format. And the writing text should be minimal and only summary of those findings. So that's the results. But the most important part in any article, original article, review article, is a discussion part. In the discussion part, it can be like my articles have a discussion longest section, most important section. Discussion should be at least like, it could be, if 3,000 word article, I write discussion around 1,200 to 1,500 words, majority of section, because that's where the analysis part comes. That's where you write things which you have interpreted, analyzed, contextualized. In public health articles, discussion should always have a policy solutions and what should be done at different level, and the research gaps, etc. So discussion is the most important part. And conclusion should be 1 paragraph. What are the key actionable points? The abstract should be written in the end, but it should be a good summary. Now, one of the things to remember is, many a times, editors, reviewers are going to read only abstract of your article. They're not going to read the full article. So if you can have a very good article, but if your abstract is not good summary, so it might not even go through the peer review process. So always write a good abstract. Spend as much time as needed. Do not rush. Abstract is written in the end, should be structured, it should be having. Always write whether journal is asking for a key message or not. Always write what are the key messages. Like if someone asks you, okay, you have written this 3,000 word article, what are the key message learning from that article? You should be ready. That should be on your fingertips. If you know that key messages, those key messages could also be written as conclusion, and those key messages should also appear in conclusion of abstract. One key message as a conclusion of abstract. So this is the structure of the article. And final part of this conversation before I go to Q&A and other reflections is that many people ask, okay, we want to write an opinion piece for newspapers. Now, one of the things to remember is that opinion piece for newspaper is not the same as a new article for a medical journal. Medical journal are very jargonized, scientific information, references. Newspapers are for general public. Even if you are subject expert, you need to convey and talk something which is simplified. So, first of all, remember the audience that whom you are writing. And this best can be done if you are writing for be it a medical journal or newspaper. Before writing for that newspaper or medical journal, read that journal for at least a few issues. What kind of article, what kind they publish, what language they follow. If you're writing for newspaper, you definitely have to read the newspaper opinion passage to get a sense of it. Like it's kind of osmosis. When you read something, without realizing that you are absorbing that information and developing your mindset in that format. That's why, like they say that what you read makes you a person, like that kind of person. If you read a poorly published newspaper, a poor quality of debate, then like it doesn't help. That's why like people read high quality publications like international newspaper, New Yorker or Economics. These are the news, like they have a high quality of standards. So if you want to improve your writing, you should read the good quality work. When I say read, doesn't mean read anything. So the final part is that when you want to write opinion piece, opinion pieces are very smaller, usually 1000 words, 900 words. Whenever you are making opinion piece, drafting opinion piece, break this into three parts. First is that what is the problem, what is the challenge, around 300 words around that. Then second part is that what has been done to tackle that challenge. And third part is that what should be done. So problem statement, 1/3, what is already being done, another 1/3, and what you suggest. Unless you have something to suggest, it's not opinion piece. Then why you write? So that's an approach. Having said that, what I discuss is largely akin to, like, this gives you a learner's license sort of in writing. So you, like a learner's license, if you go to a transport department, can we get, if you learn some of those traffic signals, I'll give a computer test, you get a learner's license. But that learner's license does not mean you can go and drive on the road. You would definitely meet a crash or accident. So from learner license to a permanent license, there is a journey. The journey that once you receive your learner license, under the guidance of someone, you start practicing. And then you practice for a fairly decent time, you appear in exam, and then you are given permanent license. So this knowledge, theoretical aspect, which I've discussed and my experience discussed, my experience is only with my experience, is my experience. From my experience, you can get a guidance, but you cannot become expert in that area. To become expert, you have to put this, what I shared with you, into practice. So you need to start, like, we cannot learn flying aeroplane by somebody teaching us aeroplane. Like, you have to practice that. You have to learn the different steps, and you have to do it yourself. So these are the principles which I have outlined, that how to write and what one should attempt to do to write scientific papers or opinion pieces which will be published. But you will become expert when you start working in this direction. So after this conversation, I would say, like, today onward, start thinking that what are the topics which you already are well read, and maybe you want to start writing on those topics, but read and analyze. But you also want to analyze or write on the topics which you really currently not expert, but you want to become expert. So it could be two streams. One, what you already know, you can write on those topics. Alongside, start reading about other topics on which you want to write. And maybe 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, depending upon how much effort you make in those initial years, you will ingrain and develop an approach to this thing, that for every new topic, you don't have to read and write that much. You will quickly pick something that this is what is new. But reading, analyzing, writing, and putting this into a practice, that's what will take you in the direction of good publishing. I think I'll stop here and ask if fellows have any question, or Anshika want to moderate. Anshika?
Yes. Participants, can you please write the question either in the chat box or raise your hand? We'll go one by one. And those who are on YouTube can definitely write the questions in the chat box. Shruti has a question. Yes, Shruti, go ahead.
Good evening, sir. So my question was, if we have a data which is around 5 years old or something, and we want to publish it now, so that could be one of the reasons for the rejection of the article, which I am facing actually, apart from self-plagiarism, because a part of it has already been published, and in the reference, the published article, reference has been given. So how do we resubmit it to a journal and get it published?
I think this is a very important question. What happens, you conduct research, research work, and then you get busy in different things. And by the time you start thinking of publishing a paper based upon that data, it is little late. So that's a common challenge with many people. Now, having a 5-year-old data does not automatically mean that the article would be rejected. But the people who have done this research need to examine and ask themselves a question. And you just ask yourself this question: what is new in this data which is not already known? Now, if there was, and so to ask two questions: what is new, which was new when it was 5 years ago? I'm sure you would have done research. So 5 years ago, there must have been something new. Have things changed since then in the last 5 years, and what things have changed? So these are the two questions which you need to ask. And if you answer, you can structure your write-up accordingly. So that's part one. If nothing new has come and you think your data is relatively like same in the sense that no other studies have come out and not much has changed in that direction, then you can still write the paper. But even if some new similar paper have come out, some other studies have come out, things have changed, then you have to change your strategy. You document that this was a 5-year-old data, but what has changed since then, and what is relevant, only that much data need to be used. But you can compensate for a delay in the release of data by analyzing the changes since then, so making the discussion section very strong and focusing upon those developments and new parts. What is new? Now, what would be I still think that even 5-year, 7-year-old data is publishable, but something which could have been like a 5 year ago original article might have to be redone to as a short communication, or also if you have to do a more additional research and strengthen the discussion part, and you can publish. So, but what will be published is that what is new, and you have to rewrite, change your approach, identify approach a presentation. That's the second part. Third part is that if you have already published a subcomponent of that data, probably very few journals would be interested that you publish that's data once again. So only use the data which has not been published. And fourth and most important thing is that you have to select, like a very high impact factor journal would not publish old data, but there would be journal who would publish that kind of article. So select the right journal. You have to lower down your expectations, and then if you select the right journal, you can publish. So these are the 3-4 things you have to keep in mind. Hope I answered your question, or you have a follow-up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Thank
moving
you.
on, we
Thank you.
have another question from YouTube. Dr. Sudeep asked, can you please elaborate on predatory journals and advice on how to identify them?
So the predatory journals are the one which are like just search for the authors and want to publish. They are no scientific standing. But I would tell you, like, I know in some of the academic institutions, a requirement that you need to have articles published anywhere. But as a researcher and someone who put a lot of effort in research, one should not aim for less than a journal which is indexed at least in PubMed or Scopus or both. So we should set a bar high, and the reason is simple. Okay, sometimes like if you are like 60-year-old, you want to publish anywhere, that's a different story. I'm sorry for saying that, but if you are a young researcher, it's a disservice to yourself if you want to publish anywhere. Because the publishing is not for publishing. Publishing is for developing your expertise. Entire idea of writing, at least the way I see, is that you learn about that topic. If you want to write something without learning, then it has no point. Publish wherever. But if you want to publish for learning, developing understanding, expertise, then publish in high quality journal. The point is writing or publishing is an addiction, good addiction. if you publish in good journals. But if you publish in a poor quality journal, then somebody or you might think that, okay, publishing is so easy, and then you want to publish in the same journal. Like I would have prefer 10 good articles or 5 good articles published rather than 50 poor quality articles which nobody reads. 50 articles were somewhere. So aim for a good quality journal. And if it's not good quality, not index, at least one internationally recognized platform, then do not publish. Or improve the quality of that article that it can go there. Unless there is some compulsion, absolute essential, like, okay, you want to publish 2 articles and they are recognized by UGC and all of these things. Now, if your criteria is to get academic promotion, then publish in those journals. But if your criteria is writing something worthwhile, you want to challenge yourself, you want to have an academic standing. So this is not a rat race that everyone should publish. It's a race to publish a good quality article. It's a race to show that you can publish in good journal. Now, this brings me to another point, that if you write one poor article, you will keep publishing poor quality article. But if you write one good quality article, you will strive to write a good quality article. So while weight and your desire to, your urgency to publish poor quality is like you feel, okay, I want to urgently publish, so poor quality will fulfill that desire, but it is a disservice to you. So I would say, even if you have to wait, publish in good quality journal. Now, initial struggle for early career researcher is that they think like they find it really difficult because they don't have exposure. Then you identify a person who can guide you. Now, this is another point I want to highlight. So you, first of all, if you want to find a mentor or guide, it's not like that person is going to do the work. Finding a mentor and guide is excited by amount of effort you would do and the good quality of work you would do. They would simply guide, effort you have to do. So if you want to find a good mentor, then you have to do that many fold of hard work. If you go to anyone like with the hard work, without hard work, if you don't want to do hard work, if you select a good mentor and then you want to like, you are not putting your effort, it's a wastage of your time and mentor's time. I want to tell, and since this talk is about my writing experience, so I'll tell you, once 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I met someone very well-written, respected, and well-published. And when I first met this person, he's also very senior now. I do not want to share the name. So initial 45 minutes, he highlighted the importance of mentor or guide in scientific or academic career. That time, I did not give that much weightage, but today, from my own experience, say that having a mentor who would guide you is very useful. But having mentor is also important, mean that you have to live up to the expectation of that mentor. The mentor does not do anything. You have to do more work to meet that mentor's expectation. So when I started with working with this senior person, I'm really thankful for his guidance and suggestions to me in early career of my life. So when I started working with him, he was a faculty at certain place. So he would tell me in the morning that Chandrakant, let's discuss this topic in detail and come to my department at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm saying 8 o'clock. His department would open at 9 o'clock and he would say, come to my department at 8 o'clock. I would reach his department 7:45 while he had asked for. Never ever I was after him, and he would reach 7:55 even though he said 8. There are people to open. He was senior person. There were people to open the department, but they would turn at 9 o'clock. But he would come at 7:55 with the key of the department. We would sit in his room We'll discuss the articles and different topics. And by the time others stopped dripping in, flowing in the department, we would have finished the conversation. And that's how for many months I learned, and he guided me. So when you say, okay, I'm a fellow in a certain program, we should be guided. You have to show that you have put the effort. It does not mean it will come without effort. Like the time of guide or mentor is providing guide. Guide does not mean right. Guide is about direction, and that this direction will be on certain. If you have some content, so you have to put effort and content, and then it can be guided. And the role is that something. This is Hindi Kabir's poem, but I would say that in English that this Guru Kumar Shishik Kumbh hai, which essentially means that teacher is like the person who gives a shape, but the jo mitti hai or other things are already there. So student has to come when a student or when a person who wish to learn is ready, the teacher will appear and teacher will give a direction. Sachin Tendulkar or Saurabh Ganguly or Virat Kohli were not trained. They had put their effort, but they were given guidance. Ramakant Achrekar gave only guidance. The skills and expertise and effort were put by those people. So that's what it is. Like we make a mistake that somebody can change if you just because like somebody should guide. Or rather, worst crime, in my opinion, is that authorship people give a ghost authorship and authorship without putting effort. I think this is disservice to those people, because then you do not understand the importance of scientific writing, the effort which require in writing. So only if you have put effort, seek authorship, and that is the real learning. Because authorship, publishing, I want to repeat, it's a common misconception is about publishing. Authorship or writing is about learning. And the day many of the young people, I'm growing old, like I joined MBBS in 1998. So with the time you will learn those skills, but greatest disservice to younger generation, like this is like if you are early career, if you would not put effort in early career, you would not learn. And you have to pay the price in the time ahead. So put as much of effort as possible and you will succeed. Another important point I want to share, that most of the time people make mistake, procrastination, delaying everything. Writing an article takes 3 days, equivalent of effort, 5 days of equivalent of effort. Now this effort, most of the people spread in 1 year, 6 months. I think that's not the way. Like if the maximum motivation to write something is in the beginning when you pick the idea. So if you cannot write something in 7 days, don't take up. Because if it's a 3-day equivalent of effort and you want to do in 7 days, put other things aside, write a piece, publish a good article, and then do other things. But if you want to do over a period of time, every day, 1 hour, 2 hours, it doesn't work. The thing, it requires thinking. It requires good level of understanding of that topic. And that cannot be fragmented piece. Like in the ancient time, Maharshi or Rishi Muni used to go to Himalaya Parvat. They would have a longer sitting. They could have said, like, we will sit for 30 minutes every day, and then they're no different from commoners. So to mature an idea, to get a good understanding, to get a new perspective, you need to read and then analyze. Because if you don't read, you are in your world and you might think that your idea is new idea. While if you read, you will realize that this is nothing new. This is widely known. And then if you know entire reading on that topic, or at least a wide range of reading on that topic, then you can analyze that what in your opinion is new. So reading, analyzing, writing, doing this in a shorter period of time, doing like a devotee, and doing like with the mentor who can guide you, and putting some extra hard work will make you expert in that topic. Writing is a byproduct, or publishing is a byproduct.
Dr. Lahariya, I would like to know if you have some more time bandwidth so we can take questions. If not, then we'll ask the participants to email it to us.
No, we can ask, we can have a few more questions.
Yeah, Swati has her hand raised. Swati, can you unmute and speak, please?
Huh. So, first of all, thank you for providing foundation of writing research paper. And so, my question is that how many different studies should be taken for writing discussion, mainly in the comparison part to the current study?
So it depends upon the objective of study. If the topic is, for example, respectful maternity care, and this topic you would not find many studies. But if the topic is neonatal deaths or causes of neonatal, you will find little more. So there is no standard answer. Though a certain journals say that you should not have more than a X by Z number of references. But my point is that align your research work based upon objective of your work. Select 10 to 15. If you have multiple studies, 10 to 15 best studies to cite, maybe 5. If there are plenty of studies, those should go as a supplementary material. But in the main writing, you are not going to use all those studies unless you do systematic review. If you are doing systematic review, then take as many as required. But if you are writing an original article, select the most relevant study and put other studies in the supplementary material, not the main content of the article.
Okay, we have a couple of more questions from YouTube viewers. One was, supposedly we have submitted an article to a journal for review. How long does it typically takes for an article to be accepted and rejected? Clubbing it with the earlier question asked by Medha, which was on how to deal with the rejection of articles.
So it depends. It varies from one journal to another journal. So it's important what is the usually decision-making time. I think journals in India are doing disservice. So like, again, you have to select the journal. Like if some journal takes a lot of time, don't submit to that journal. I do not. I submit to only those journals which makes a quick decision. Because the problem is that what earlier was raised, that if a journal takes 2 years in decision, and by then our article, if they reject, it becomes 2-year-old, it's become non-publishable. So it's a crime on the parts of editor. I'm saying it's a criminal offense on the part of editor to delay the decision. The decision of publishing, whether it's accepted or rejected, should be very quick. Usually international journals take 6 weeks, but it can take longer because it is also dependent upon external peer reviewer, how much time they take. But there are many good Indian journals which make decision very quickly. Second part is that you can submit to journals which are good, which takes time, but if they provide good quality peer review, so your quality of your article is improved. So that is another criteria. But for early career researchers, I would say do not have a mentor or somebody senior who understands writing process. Take his guidance, and then also be very pragmatic in selecting a journal. Select a journal which is not super high rejection rate, so and also very quick decision making. So if it's published, it's helpful, and then if you can revise, you can submit to other journal. But one need to, as I said, you need to read journal and newspaper to understand what kind of articles are published. And if you understand that, then you can select, okay, my article, this is a standard of my article, your self-assessment of that article. And based upon self-assessment, submit the article to the journal which is most likely to accept. And of course, there is no harm in writing an email to journal editors that this is pending for long, please take a decision. Either way it is. How to deal with the rejected article? I think it's a normal process. In the life, we need to understand that rejection can happen because you submitted to a wrong journal, which does not publish that kind of article. Rejection can happen poor quality. If it's a poor quality, consider to a journal which can accept that kind of article, but always published in an index or journal index in a good reputed international indexing system, not any predatory journal, the discussion which we had earlier.
We'll take another last question from the chat meeting we had. So Alok is asking, can you please explain about the writing commentary on any new published report?
So the commentary writing is always like it's like new. Okay, commentary in a medical journal and scientific and opinion piece in newspaper are more or less similar. Similar pattern. In commentary, you are going to comment about, interpret those findings. So commentaries are easier on a new report or etc. because the report is only reading you have to do. But you can analyze that report if you know the background and context about that area, what is already published in that area. So analyzing. And then third part is that you write commentary to give a direction, policy implication, suggestions. So opinion piece in newspaper will be more written in layperson's language without references, but in commentary, the first part you summarize what are the key findings of that particular topic or report if you are writing commentary on report. Second part, you write that how these findings of the new report fits into the broader context of that setting or previous findings. And then third part, you write that what it means. So what? The answer, so what should be done? Now we know that these are the findings. So that's the approach we need to follow. And usually commentaries are 1500 words and need to be provided references. Now, key difference is like usually good journals say that use as many references as required. Commentaries can be written, for example, there is a lot of debate going, whether children should be given or adults should be given vitamin D supplementation, zinc supplementation, etc. You can write commentary about those aspects, that why zinc or vitamin D is required in the body, what is the deficiency, why certain population get deficient and what should be done, what is the evidence on supplementation, is it linked to the criteria. So you essentially, the people who write commentary need to have a wider understanding. You cannot you need to know that topic for long and need to have an expert level understanding of that topic to critically analyze. So commentaries are, in my opinion, of course, original article have a different approach because they bring primary data, but commentary are expert level understanding of that topic. And you need to read, I would say, remember this word, raw, read, analyze, write, and 5-4-3. This is the proportion in which you have to spend time. And then if you do that approach, don't jump to the writing. If you do jump to the writing without reading, analyzing, it will not be published. I can be blunt in that. So if you want to hope for publication, read, analyze, and commentaries, if you only on those topics in which you know. Important point to here remember is that, unfortunately, even a poor quality paper can be published somewhere in a predatory journal or a poor quality. But then when people who understand that topic will read and they will say that, okay, this person has published, but this person doesn't know what he has written. So publishing itself is not an achievement. Publishing which stands out and which stands scrutiny of the peer is something achievement, something which is cited. So this is my suggestion, that read, analyze, write. Commentaries you can go only on the topic which you know fairly well.
Yeah, we'll take the last question from Varsha because she was on the camera for the entire session. Rest, all of you, please email your questions and there's a message for you in the chat box. Over to you, Varsha. We can't hear you.
Maybe she can write in chat box. Yeah, we cannot hear you, Varsha.
Yeah. Please write your question in the chat box, and in the meanwhile, I think we can have question from Shalini.
First of all, thanks, sir, for sharing the information. Sir, I just wish to know that in one of the courses attended by ICMR and I came across that the voice to be used while writing the paper should be active voice. Whereas usually just we use passive voice. The study was conducted in RSTC like that. So that means active voice means that we conducted the study at RSTC. Is it so?
Okay, so I'm sorry, like I really do not remember what is active voice, passive voice. But yeah, what they are saying probably this, like I would never write article saying that I found or we found.
Yeah.
We should write the authors found. So it's a neutral, and I think that's a passive voice. So I, we, or personalized nouns are not used. We always say the researchers found, the authors found. If we are writing that article, we are author. I always write the authors found.
Okay, so authors found becomes the active voice only, sir. Yeah, the study, it was found in the study.
I think there is it may be in-house style of certain journals that they might want you to write in certain way, but what I'm sharing is also acceptable. But we do not use we, I, or personalized noun. Other things can be written. But certain journal, like I don't recall about IJMR, but certain journal have a certain house style. And that's why I'm saying that we should always go through the articles in that journal, that what style they follow, and we should adapt to that style. An advantage of such approach is that if we follow their style, then one less round of revision, because once they can come back, oh, well, this kind of modification need to be done. And if you already do and submit, then it will save time. But I don't recall there is such thing. Like it was found in the study, the authors found in the study, both are acceptable in my opinion, and I've seen both approaches.
Okay. One more small thing, sir. That now the journals are categorized like Q1, Q2, Q3 journals. What specifically are the criteria for categorization of journals in these categories? Like,
I do not know what is Q1, Q2, Q3.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Okay, so we got the question from Varsha. She wants to say, many a times when she writes the article, she reaches her own logic or rationale. So can she use them without references in the discussion?
You have to build on that part. So a certain, of course, analysis or discussion part is about your own interpretation and logic, but they should be founded in the work which has been done, and you have to substantiate your argument on certain things. So it's not necessary that you have to cite or give a reference, but you can say that this person said, or previous study said this thing, other study said that, but you have to give a rational logic why you think differently. Now, a single article cannot have many such observation. You have a liberty to do one or two, but if you want to give a hypothesis, then you have to write a different kind of article. But original articles or research articles are always focused upon scientific evidence and some analysis of that. Analysis does not mean we can give a hypothesis. For a hypothesis, you have to follow a different approach. And usually hypotheses are also generated through different approach, though not cited. So no standard answer, but you can have some liberty of writing your own ideas and concept, but be very careful in doing so. If you do that very repeatedly, at certain point of time, if they are proven, then you will be known expert. But if they are wrong or they are very flawed, then it will affect your reputation. वो लोग कहेंगे कि मतलब ये तो कुछ भी लिख दे, मतलब अगर मैं कुछ ऐसा लिखने लगूं तो लोग ये कहेंगे कि this person write anything without any logic. So written word is what is the word in English? Written word is like forever. So if you write something and publish something, it will come back to you many years later. And if you say something which is grossly wrong, then people will say that this person writes without researching and this thing. And as a academician, expert, you want to avoid this thing. Whatever is written will last forever, and you will be assessed. So be careful about this thing. If you do poor quality publication, people will say that this person's publications are poor quality. And I do not want to see anyone around us being tagged like that.
Sure. So we are over with the questions. I'll give it over to Balaji, my colleague, for the vote of thanks. Over to you, Balaji.
Yes, thank you, Anshika. And we are closing this session, and it was a really informative session, sir. And we would like to thank all our participants and our speaker, Dr. Chandrakant Lahariya, for today's session. So your wonderful session has helped a deeper understanding on the nuances of writing a quality scientific paper. Sessions like this will help in understanding the broader landscape of public health. We are writing for more papers, which can work as a groundwork for others. So thank you, everyone. And we will update the further meetings and expert talk series. And I would also especially thank the YouTube viewers. And I hope the comments and queries was answered. If anything was left, we will definitely email you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.